something that I feel like I'm moving through right now is learning to trust how my body feels over what is happening outside of me. I saw the text come in and my full body reaction was, I don't know if I want this. Like, I could feel something in that wasn't pure. We gaslight ourselves in our own intuition. I felt it. I guarantee you, if I go back to the date that I was feeling that, he was probably on a date, something happened. And from all the way, he's in a completely different country. I could feel it in my body because souls are connected. And I knew. I'm sharing this because like when you get in tune with yourself, you need to learn to trust it. There is a reason that you're feeling something. If a feeling comes up super strongly, there's a reason for it. Trust the feeling. Stop screwing with yourself. You know. You can feel it. Hello, you guys. Welcome to this week's episode of the Expanded Evolved podcast. I have just been going through some really internal, deep processes. And so I feel like I'm still in the midst of it and navigating it. And so I'm going to try my best to articulate this. But essentially the theme of this podcast is I'm going to talk about some of the stuff I've been moving through. A big one and a big theme of it being like how much when you do this internal work, the whole gist of it and the whole importance of it is to bring you back to tuning into your own self and your body's internal wisdom. And something that I feel like I'm moving through right now is learning to trust how my body feels over what is happening outside of me. When you feel something in your body, you feel a sensation. How can you trust that over the words that are being said? How can you trust that over the circumstance that's in front of you? And instead, starting to move and live your life completely in alignment with what you're feeling, not what's being said, not what's in front of you, not what anyone else is doing or saying. Does this make sense? So I'm going to take you through some examples that have shown up for me, personal life stuff. And just hopefully I can kind of share that and bring awareness to it for you to start navigating that process too. So really the theme of this is going to be listening to your body's wisdom and that own internal wisdom, regardless of what's being reflected in your outer world, and cultivating a deep trust within yourself when you start to notice and listen to it. Okay. So bringing awareness to it. The first thing that I want to give you an example of, in one of my recent podcasts, I shared how I had to tap into deep vulnerability, and essentially in a breathwork session was guided to show up to this guy's house, regardless that we weren't supposed to see each other till the next day, go to his house and tell him like, I'm in love with you. This is what I want. And like, I no longer can keep doing what we've been doing. And like this in between, because I'm not an in-between gal. I was just in Hawaii with a friend who I literally just met. And it was so funny when we were sharing, she was sharing about her experience with her kind of guys she was seeing. I was sharing about my situationship I ended up in. And what I realized by that was like, so much of me, because you hear like, go date, have fun, like don't take it too seriously. And I'm like, I am not the fun girl. Like I'm deep. I fall in love. I give all of myself. I become so loyal and so committed to somebody that like, I don't know how to not be that and like go be casual. Does this make sense? Like I'm looking for like depth, soul recognition, deep, spiritual, divine union. Like I am not the girl who can just go have fun. And like, I can, but like once I'm attached, I'm attached. Does this make sense? So it's like in the beginning, of course, there's no deep connection. So of course I can have fun and it can be casual, but like once there's a connection, I am not casual. Like I'm just not. And it's like getting to know yourself and understanding that. And I think there's beauty in that because there's some people who want light, want non-committal, want what's fun. And it's getting to know yourself that like, regardless if that's what people on the internet are saying to do, that's not me. And like when you get to know yourself, you get to know what you can do and what you can't do and what's for you and what's not for you. And essentially, examples of this might be like someone says something to you and it sounds like the words being said sound great, but something in your body goes, Or someone on social media is, they're convincing you, they're manipulating you through their words, but something in you feels like, Or like someone, for example, this has come up lately. I've seen people using God as manipulation on social quite a bit. being like, God told me and God, da, da, da. And I'm like, my instant reaction is not, wow, that's so beautiful. You know how to connect to God. My instant reaction is, like something's off here. And so rather than questioning yourself and gaslighting yourself that like, oh, maybe I'm wrong and maybe it's judgment and maybe it's like, no, trust that. The second that you got, trust it. There's a reason for it. Same thing. Like when I feel something is a full yes, I'm going to lean into it. I don't need to know the how. I don't need to know the why. I don't need to know any of the details. All I need to know is like, this feels like a yes, lean in. When I feel hesitation or resistance, I know to lean out or go deeper. And the reason I'm being cautious of saying it's a no is because depending on where you're at on this journey, there could be things that feel uncomfortable and you feel resistance to that are actually trying to push you to lean in. So you need to get really, you need to get to know yourself. So for me, when I know that something's going to challenge me and push me, I don't have resistance to that. I know, like, for example, me wanting to buy this house, for example, and I didn't have anything figured out for it. It felt like a yes. I don't have an issue taking risks or taking challenges or doing things that are challenging. Does this make sense? Like I've built comfort in the uncomfortable. So I know that for myself. So if I'm feeling resistance about something, it is not because it's not because it's just uncomfortable. It's because it's an absolute no. Is this landing? So like you have to get to know yourself, because I know for some people, they feel a ton of resistance to anything that's going to cause them to grow. For example, knowing that showing up on social media could help you grow your business, but you have resistance to putting yourself out there because you're afraid of being visible. You're going to feel resistance to that. Versus me right now, I've been on social media and I'm feeling this call to go inward, this call to not talk a lot, this call to not connect with a lot of people and really trust this internal process that I'm moving through and kind of guard myself with like a sacred, I don't know, bubble, you could say. So my resistance to social media is not because out of fear. It's literally a cue that I need to go inward and put more focus and time inside of me rather than being on social media. Does this make sense? So it's like you need to start to understand where's the resistance coming from and then trusting that resistance if you know that it's not from fear. I think that's the key difference, is knowing what is from fear and what isn't. So like perfect examples of this in this situationship that I've been in, which is now complete, done, like soul contract. Well, I asked my pendulum and it said, no, it's not 100% complete, but I feel complete. I feel decided. I feel clear. And so in that, basically, I'll give you a story time. Okay. So you guys know, like I went on dates, whatever. This has been a situationship that's been in my life for like 2 years. And I had kind of brought up like coming to Maui lightly. And then he leaned in and said, yes, I want to come. And I remember him texting me. I was in New York not on the ice, about to get on the ice with my son. I saw the text come in and my full body reaction was, I don't know if I want this. Okay. So that was my reaction. What did I do next though? I didn't choose to align with the feeling that I felt. Instead, I replied, oh my God, really? Okay, let's do it. Because out of, and I'll give you an understanding of why. So out of curiosity, essentially, like I could feel something in that wasn't pure and honestly likely wasn't going to happen. But I was like, let's just lean in here. Let's see if he commits. Let's see if he's serious about this. Let's give him a final chance if he's really going to step up to the plate. Let's just see. But the point is, I felt it in my body that it was a hesitation and ultimately a no. I knew it was like my soul could feel this is going to cause pain. I don't know if you want to do this. But my ego was like, let's see. Let's test it. Let's test it. Okay. Okay. So I say yes. We go through the process. We book the trip. Everything is booked, supposed to be coming, whatever. 2 weeks later, after that was all booked, I got this feeling of like this overwhelming full body feeling. I remember I was at my house, nothing was happening. And I got this full body feeling of F you, get the out of my life. Like it was like a wave of rage that was like, get out of my life. We're done. Get out. but I didn't say anything because I was like, that's interesting. Where is that coming from? You already have this trip booked. Let's see how this plays out. So I'm allowing it to play out as it's supposed to, rather than like being super reactive and taking action. However, it's showing me so clearly, tell him to get out of your life. That's it. Cut it. Okay. But I'm like, curiosity killed the cat. I'm like, let's just see though. Like the trip is booked. Like there's got to be a reason for it. Cause I'm so like, this is interesting. I know what I'm feeling, but this is interesting. So let's see where this goes. So, and moral of the story, he calls me to tell me, which this is another funny part of my internal process, is that he calls me to tell me he went on dates with somebody else. And my initial response is to try to solve it for him. Like this conflict that he's feeling of like, he was with me, but now he might be dating somebody else and he still has this trip booked and he doesn't know what to do. And I go into problem solving. I don't even think about my own feelings, you guys. This is what's interesting too. So this is all intentional, and I'm telling you the story on purpose because it's to bring awareness to how do you respond in situations and what do you feel in your body. So my internal feeling in my body when he calls me and gives me this information, I am not reactive. I don't react emotionally to pretty much anything. It would take a lot to get me to react emotionally. I go full logic, full calm, full let's handle what's in front of us. And I can still disconnect from my emotions. Like I know there's emotions there, but like I can disassociate to handle what's in front of me. So in that moment that I get this phone call, which is obviously disrespectful, like icky behavior, right? Where the most self-respecting thing for me to do would be like, say F you, which I felt 2 weeks prior, I felt it. So this is another thing. We gaslight ourselves in our own intuition. I felt it. I guarantee you, if I go back to the date that I was feeling that, he was probably on a date or like slept with this girl. Something happened. And from all the way, he's in a completely different country. I could feel it in my body because souls are connected. And I knew. And I'm sharing this because like when you get in tune with yourself, you need to learn to trust it. There is a reason that you're feeling something. If a feeling comes up super strongly, there's a reason for it. Trust the feeling. You don't need the logic. You don't need the answers. You don't need someone to come in front of you and share it and lay it all out for you. You know. And this is the part for me where I think this was the fine tuning of you freaking know. You can feel it. Trust it. Stop screwing with yourself and thinking like, but it could be this because like that wasn't actually set. No, you know. You can feel it, especially been on this journey to connecting to yourself. So anyways, he tells me all this information. I go into problem solving mode. And then after I'm like, okay, I got to go. I have Pilates and like, I'm going to go do this Pilates class. And I can feel the anger starting to like come through my body where I'm like, I didn't feel sad initially. I actually felt angry. And I think the anger was coming from the fact that I knew and I should have just cut it off and said, don't come before, but I didn't because I was curious to see what would happen. And I think the anger was coming from like, you knew better and you didn't listen to yourself. So whatever, we go through that process. Ultimately he's still coming on the trip. I was like, stay in your own room. I don't care. We're friends beyond anything else. Like just come. And I'm like, you know what? Because I'm still problem solving because there's 2 people coming and I don't want to put everybody out and the people who have pre-booked the trip and whatever. So I'm like trying to do the most responsible thing for everybody, which is like, okay, stay in your room. We don't need to stay together and we can be friends. That's it. But even in that, I was like, oof, you need to, I'm like, is the most self-respecting thing to say, F you, get out of my life? And I was like, probably. But I'm like, I still care about you as a person. It's like, ultimately, I'm like, if we're not going to be in a relationship, I'm okay. Because I'm like, I know my person is coming. So I'm so trusting of that even this information couldn't really take me off course of like trusting that, if that makes sense. And so ultimately, my point is, these things happen and I could feel in my body, it was a no. I went and sat with my pendulum because my trusty pendulum, I love that thing whenever I'm feeling unsure. And I started asking a bunch of really good questions. And so I want to list some of those questions for you for a moment where you're in a predicament where it's hard when you're emotionally attached to see really clearly. So me and my logic brain, I can see super clearly. I have clarity around it. I know what this situation when I would talk to my friends sounded like, but it's like when you're in it, it's not always time to end it yet. Does this make sense? So like you could know this person is so not right for you. You could be hearing a friend going through it and it's so clear to you because you're not emotionally invested. But sometimes the soul contract needs to run its course and the lessons haven't yet been learned. So for me, I trust myself really deeply, like to the point where I'm like, if I'm in something, I'm in it for a reason because I'm decisive. I am so decisive. When I know something's not for me, I will cut it, end it. And I'm good at that. But I also know in the in-between, like sometimes you're just in the in-between and it's not comfy, but there's stuff that needs to happen before it's a clear yes or a clear no. Get what I'm saying? So I could feel we were heading towards a clear no and I could have acted on it, but I didn't. And I think it's intentional because I had these lessons to learn to now be able to reflect back and go, you knew, but I think if I would have acted too prematurely, it would have left me with wonder and what ifs. And now I have no wonder. I have no what ifs. It is so freaking crystal clear, the entire situation. So some of the questions, I feel like might be helpful. So I just want to read some of them because I know some of this has been helpful for you guys before. These are questions that I started going into. So there was a part of me that was like, whoa, dang, like what part of you is allowing this level of disrespect? Like what in you called it in to create the space for this level of, I don't know, like I'm like, ew, like it's honestly shocking because I'm like, I would never act in this way. So I'm like, for someone to fully go through booking a trip, have it paid for, have it planned, and then back out when they apparently love you, care about you, and you're so important to them is next level insane. But to me, it shows character. And so therefore I always go to like, okay, I know that's not necessarily a reflection of me. Like his character is not a reflection of me. That's who he is. And like what in me, where did I learn that love was disrespect? Do you know what I mean? Like I'm always going to go deeper. And like, where did I learn to put up with stuff I shouldn't be putting up with, to endure? Like that's the word that kept coming through is like love means to endure. So endure heartache, endure hardship, to put yourself aside and be there for somebody else over top of your own needs. And that's where I'm like, I do that a lot, where I can feel what my body is telling me and what I feel, but I can put all of my own wants, needs, and honestly, how I need to like be loved or whatever aside to show up for the other person. And so it gave me some deep thoughts. Okay. So anyways, I'm going to read you guys a couple of these questions. So I asked the question, what in me called this in? And then I just sat with it. So if you're going through a circumstance or situation in your life, just ask that question. Like if you're feeling like, what the hell, like this is so confusing or hard or like whatever, you know, and you're starting to go in a spiral, just stop, get a journal in front of you, find stillness and just ask, what in me called this in? And you might not get the answer right away, but you're asking because it's going to start to reveal itself to you. So in that moment, I didn't have a clear answer, but it was just like, let's go there. Like what in me is calling this in? Basically, I was trying to get clear because I was like, I want to make sure that like, where am I coming from right now? Like, am I sitting in my ego, my emotional self, my soul self? Like who am I connecting to? And so basically I asked if I was connected to my soul and it said no. I was like, am I connected to my ego right now? It said yes. And I asked the question, does my ego want him to come? Because right now it was the day before we hadn't had the conversation that he was not coming. And it was like, my ego was saying yes. And then I said, I went to say the words, does my soul want him to come? And before I could even get it out, I was sobbing. And the pendulum started swinging and it was a no, like, no. Your soul doesn't want this. Your soul doesn't want it. The only thing that wants it is your ego, the validation, the like fun flirting, the great, you know what, all of it, which honestly damages my soul, damages my heart and damages my soul because I'm not casual. And so I could feel that my soul was screaming, no, please, for the love of God, do not have him come on this trip. And even that was helpful because we all have ego and soul. We get through this life in ego. And so sometimes it's going to like, that's sometimes the thing that makes you take the jump and take the risk and have the leap is the ego. But then sometimes it's like your soul is crying for like, no more. And that's what I felt with this was like, my soul was literally crying, saying no more. So before I could even get the words out, like does my soul want him to come? I was bawling, and it was a resounding no. And my soul just didn't want the pain. Like my ego could handle it, like being able to be there and like be fun and flirty and like have a hot guy around. Okay, great. But like my soul is like, please no, this is not worth it. This is so not worth it for the pain that it's going to cause you. And ultimately, every time we parted, it would be like a breakup regardless. Because it's like, we have this like crazy wild connection. And then whenever we separate in space, like it's freaking hard. And so we've already done that. And now we're going to go do it again. Like it's just tough. And then I started asking questions about like my future person. And I basically just said, is there a purpose for all of this pain? And it was a resounding yes. And I said, can I trust? So yeah, basically just trusting that like me letting this go, everything is going to be divinely orchestrated to meet my future person. And that this was essentially part of that. And then I asked like, is this dynamic for my greater good? And it was yes. So I'm sharing this because even in the like mucky stuff that feels really painful, that can feel really challenging, that can be really hard to move through, you have to know with full faith that you would not be being brought through that trial, that tribulation, that hardship, if it wasn't for your greater good. So for me, feeling this pain was good. You have to get comfortable with feeling pain. If you're trying to avoid the fact that things are going to hurt, you're going to want to cry, you're going to feel anger, you are avoiding the thing that is literally helping your soul's evolution. You need to trust that it is intentional, it is for you, it is helpful. And I trusted in this. When I started bawling my eyes out, it was like, man, my soul was waiting to cry because I know that I hadn't, like this was such a, like there was so much that was icky that I knew, but it was like that level of enduring. I think I had to move through this to understand how deep it goes to show up for others over myself and like learning to actually choose me. So in this situation, right? Like I've talked about this in previous podcasts where it was like, I had this desire to be chosen and you want this soul recognition. You want this soul love. This is where life gets so funny. That soul recognition, that soul love, I had to recognize myself. So in this pain, where did it bring me? It brought me out of my ego and into my soul, what my soul was feeling, what my soul was wanting. Like, how do I expect someone else to, come in and give me like soul recognition when I'm not recognizing my own soul? And so in this feeling, I literally remember sitting there and I was like, if this is not what's best for me, please don't have him come. Like I trust what my soul is saying. And if this is not what's best for me, don't have him come. I don't want him there. But if there's something else I need to move through and there's a lesson here, I'm willing to go into it. And I think that's the beauty of having willingness and acceptance is even though it hurts, even though it's hard, if it's something that was going to be for my greater good, my higher purpose, I'll go all the way into it. I am not afraid of it. But it was like, if this is done and I no longer need to feel any of this pain and we're done with it, don't have him come. And it's interesting because in that I could feel, it's like, are you going to choose yourself? Are you going to recognize your own soul? Are you going to recognize your own soul love? And this is what every lesson that I have learned in my journey has been, is everything you're saying you want in another person, it's going to but give you opportunities to move through it first so that you can feel and recognize what that feels like within you. So same thing with, wanting to be taken care of or wanting to feel like what abundance feels like or wanting to feel free or wanting someone that's good at communication. You're going to be given these opportunities to learn that yourself and become that version of yourself that's an energetic match for what you're calling in. And so in these really difficult conversations that we had, we talked one night for like 4 or 5 hours. And in it was so heated, we went dead silent for like 10 minutes, but none of us, like I was honestly so proud of us. We haven't talked since, and like part of me, I'm like, dang, I'm so proud of us for how we moved through this, because it was such a difficult circumstance and situation where no matter what, someone's getting hurt, no matter what, it's an ending of something that we really care about each other. But I put it out there where I was like, if you choose this, like there's no relationship left. Like this is not friendship either. Like even us wanting to try to remain friends, this is not friendship. We know that. We know it's more than that. But how we handled it, like our communication about this, even though we were heated, even though it could be deemed an argument, we were so respectful. And I have not been in an argument with someone since like my husband or before, like we never even fought. So knowing, it was almost this beautiful way of like that really intense, deep, hard conversation that we were going through, we were respectful through the whole thing. I communicated my feelings. I communicated my truth. I communicated how I felt, as did he. And we were so honest that I was like, doesn't this feel so good? And he was like, yeah, it really does. And it was just beautiful to see that, like, when you can just be 100% transparent and honest and truthful, and then in addition, respectful in your communication, like, that's the communication I want in a relationship. I don't want to go through a deep, committed relationship ever again where we're not openly talking about everything. And I just forgot about that. But I'm like, it honestly makes my heart really happy, because I'm like, that was so beautiful. Like, we handled it so well. When we could have gone into name calling or acting immature or like belittling or being like, well, you, neither of us did that. And I don't know, it just like feels good to reflect and be like, dang, all the work that I've done it's paying off, I guess. And so anyways, where was I going with this? So the ego and the pain, the soul recognition, me knowing that like I had to find that for myself and noticing what my own soul wanted. And I think we hear about that all the time, where it's like, what is like the inner you want? What does little girl you want? What does that version of you, what is she asking for? And it's, for the first time, I feel like I was able to truly tune in to that voice of like how to protect and guard myself, regardless of the other person, regardless of ego, regardless of anything else. It was like, what do I need to do to protect this little girl version of me, and like what she really is asking for in this moment? And she didn't want him to come. She didn't want to go through the pain. And you ask and you shall receive. He didn't come. So the question, is this dynamic or this situation or this experience for my greater good? I was using a pendulum to get yeses and nos, and then I go deeper. And I asked, because I was like, I really have this feeling that I'm going through all of these different types of relationships, because I really believe eventually I'm meant to teach on relationships and help people in love. Like I have felt that and known that for a long time, that my soul's mission, you could say, is like connection, love, and helping people be more connected. I have had a lot of people tell me I'm supposed to be a men's coach. I don't know, because men typically, when I do talk to them, tell me their whole life and they feel really open with me. And they'll be like, I've never told anyone that. And I'm like, I don't know. I just have this effect on people. People tell me crazy shit. Anyway, so people have said like I'm supposed to work with men or be a men's dating coach. I don't know. That doesn't feel like a full yes to me. But I think in some realm, it's going to be love and relationships, whether that's couples or I do this with my future partner and we're helping relationships. I don't know. I just know I'm going through lots of interesting relationship curriculum to understand full picture of what people move through. So how could I, like, if you really think about it, me, I've done so much work. This is ego. Me, I've done so much, but it's like, how do you end up in a situationship? Like, you're so aware of what a situationship is and like that it's not enough for you, but then you end up in one. And it's because like, this is modern dating. You grow this like really deep, beautiful connection with someone. And then it's not like you're not 100% committed, but you still lean in, you still talk to each other, you still see each other. It's just interesting. And like, obviously me back when I was like dating in high school, situationships I don't feel like existed to the extent they do today, but now it's like very common. This is what most people's relationships are like in modern day dating. Most people are not choosing each other. They're staying in these like situationships. And so I think for me to be relevant and actually be able to relate and help people, how can I help people in modern day dating or life if I haven't experienced the thing that so many people are experiencing? Because you have no empathy for it or compassion if you've never been through it yourself. And so I'm like, I see that as curriculum. And this is, again, can you choose to trust that every single hardship you're going through is for your best interest, is for your greater good? So even though I'm in this situation that's not comfy and not great and not easy, I knew the whole time, I was like, there's a purpose for this. There is a reason for it. There's a purpose for it. And I'm leaning in, because the only thing you can do is like go into it to move through it. And I knew when it was meant to be over, it would. Like, I trust that. So in the in-between, sometimes you just got to get comfortable in the in-between. When I wasn't sure about my marriage, but I wasn't ready to say I'm done, I had to get comfortable in the in-between. And I knew when I was ready and it was time, I would get hit like this. Because again, understand your human design. I'm splenic authority. Once I have a decision, it's like this. I am so decisive when it's 100%. But if it's not something I believe 100%, then I'm it's not a choice. Does this make sense? Like, I don't have anything to be decisive for because it's the in-between. And then I know there's nothing yet for me to make a choice on, because I will always make a choice 100% when it's time to make it. Does this make sense? Hopefully. Then I went into some deeper questions of just asking, like, has my soul learned all the lessons from this dynamic? Essentially, like, are we done here? It said no. I said, am I in a karmic loop? Yes. And I remember saying to him, this is how funny it is when you're fully aware, but you do human shit. I remember saying before I went on that date with him in November, I was like, I can't do this loop with you for another year. Like, I refuse. And he's like, what loop are you talking about? I'm like, no, we've been on a loop of the same shit without a different result. Like, I am not doing this again. And I knew. And so I think us going on those dates was helpful though, because like now there's not going to be any what ifs, you know? Anyway, so am I in a karmic loop? It said yes. I said, why am I choosing something that hurts me? Because again, I'm going to go deeper. So if you're in something and you might not be ready to leave, but it's like, what in you is choosing something that hurts you? And so I just sat with that. And then again, good questions to start journaling on, right? And then another question I asked, what in me believes that love equals not being chosen or put first, or that my needs don't matter? Because essentially that's what I'm in that situation. And so I'm like, is there an underlying belief? Because I'm always going to go to self-awareness and taking self-ownership before I ever blame anybody else. And I honestly am just not a blamer. Like, I'm choosing this. I'm the creator of my own reality. I'm the one choosing every single circumstance, hard or not, for myself to learn. And I'm just never going to blame and be a victim to my life circumstances, because I'm choosing it and I'm creating it. So for me, it's like, if I'm in the situation where I don't feel loved, I don't feel chosen, and I don't feel like I'm being put first, or that my needs don't matter, what in me chose to feel that? And again, I'm just allowing these questions to move and bring me answers. And then I also was like, where did I learn to be okay with disrespect? Because when I really think about it, quite a few of my relationships have been disrespectful, and I've endured every single one, rather than being like, F you, like, this behavior is not okay. For example, the first time someone calls you a bitch, it should be like, boom, done. I don't tolerate disrespect. But I'm like, oh, well, maybe they were having a bad day, or, oh, well, like, I don't want to be so reactive, or, oh, well, like, I make excuses for people's bad behavior in relationships because I understand people make mistakes. And obviously you need to have grace in relationship, but it's like, what in you is okay with things that are not love, disrespect, and your needs not being met? And it's like, ultimately you learned that somewhere. And so when I sat with that, it was like, okay, go back. Your parents' dynamic. What did I watch between them? Okay, go back. How did I feel when I had needs as a child? Were they met? Or did I override them to meet the needs of my caregiver, or like not to be a burden? You have to go into this to start to understand, like, and it's not any fault of your parent or your caregiver or whatever. It's like you adapted in order to feel loved and protected and safe as a child. And so sometimes that means your parents are having a bad day. And so even though you have a really strong need, like you need to cry and you need attention, you can feel that they're fighting. And so you're not going to add to it. So you hold your needs into yourself. Or I don't know, your mom is having a really bad day. And so rather than you going and sharing what you need, you instead go into caregiver mode to help her needs be met. Or for me, I watched my parents' interesting dynamic where there was disrespect, both sides, and enduring. And no one really saying like, hey, that's not okay. Don't treat me like that. Just letting it go. So it's like all of these things that I learned and experienced as love, you go through this phase of learning like that's not actually real love. And through learning and growing a relationship with myself, I've been able to come to this place where like, it's very clear to me what isn't love, but there's still experiences I think you need to go through where you don't realize, but like unconsciously you kind of fall into these patterns that are so deeply programmed within us. We're kind of unaware that that's what we're doing. And so I really noticed that within myself. Okay. And then in addition to that, I basically just in that moment, after I like let myself bawl my eyes out, I was like, whoa, okay. Like my heart is hurting because it feels like a breakup in a way. But at the same time, I felt peace. It's like I knew even though it was painful and even though it was hard, it's like I felt peace knowing that the in-between is gone and we're no longer going to stay in this freaking intertwined whatever we were in. And okay, in addition to that, outside of just like being challenged, where for me, I was like, okay, how can I show up as 100% me, authentically me, and be open, honest, transparent, and share how I truly feel? Because so many times in relationships, I've never done that. I don't communicate effectively or clearly and concisely. I really water myself and my feelings down. And so in this, what I was able to realize is like, it's not about not being chosen. It's not about not being enough. Ultimately, what it can be sometimes is like that person on the other side doesn't have capacity. And it's not that they don't think you're amazing and they don't love you and they don't care about you, but they may not have capacity to be what you need. And so can you trust that you're being redirected and protected for your own good? So like something that I used to do, and I probably could have done this in this situation, you guys, old me, because I get whatever I want. So it's like, if I want you, I'm locking in on it and I'm going to get you and I'm going to have you because that's what I do, because it gives me, this is like previous relationships. I'm talking like when I think of relationships in like high school and stuff, and then early 20s, it's like, I would lock in and be like, I want you because this is going to make me feel good, or it's going to look good in this way. All ego, by the way, but like would drive forward for it because it gave me this sense of being chosen and enough and whatever. I don't know. I would just like make it happen versus allowing a man to make it happen because they really truly want you. Like they see the value and they're like, it's her. Oh my God, it's her. Like I need her. I always just made it happen. And so in this situation, I was like, I'm not doing that again. Like, even though I could like try to use manipulation, or I could, maneuver my way or whatever I could do. It was like, I'm not doing that ever again. Like if someone is for me, he's going to see it. He's going to know it. He's going to recognize it. And there's nothing I need to do to make him see it. Like he's going to see it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like that soul recognition is when you can like lean in and be like, oh my God, it's you. It's you, it's you, it's you. And you feel it. I had this realization where it's like deep down in all of those circumstances and situations, all I wanted was all of those guys to see my worth and like choose me. But like I chose them and they ultimately never had capacity for all of me. That we weren't an energetic match. We were like this. And so what happens when you're like this, like with two magnets, you have to reach each other. So one person either has to come up or the other person has to come down. And when a man doesn't have capacity, the likelihood of him rising to meet your frequency is pretty low. Like what a man is going to be, what a man is going to be. What he's giving you is who he is. That's what I have realized. And ultimately it's like, so what happened? A lot of those circumstances, like I acted a little small. I didn't show my whole self. I didn't, show the fact that I needed depth, because it was like, oh, it's okay. Like I'll just swallow down my needs to be able to meet yours, because that's what I do. And so in this circumstance, I was like, dang, you know what it is? It's kind of like going to Walmart and being like, I'm looking for a Chanel bag. I'm looking for a Chanel bag. And they're like, wait, what? What are you talking about? Like, I don't have a Chanel bag. You can choose to go there. You can choose to spend time there. You can choose to be in that space, but you're not going to find what you're looking for until you go to the right store, and then it's right there. Like this. You walk into the Chanel store. Oh, hi, here's the Chanel bag. Do you see how simple and easy that is? Where I think for a lot of us in relationship, we wish that we could find what we're looking for in this big, huge Walmart. There's so many things there, but like the thing you're looking for doesn't exist there, but we're trying to find it and we're trying to make it work. And so there's all this trying. Of course it's 222, because this has been my whole 222 journey. And I know that this is like with a bow, heart, love with a bow. It's complete. Almost. I think there's one more thing that's going to happen before it's fully done. But anyway, where you could just go to the right place to get what you're looking for because it's a match. And I think in relationships, so often we spend so much of our time and our energy trying to get something out of something that is impossible to get because they don't have capacity and they don't have it available. And I think there's so much out there about, oh, someone's emotionally unavailable. Yeah, listen, don't try to help them become emotionally available. If you're in a committed marriage and relationship, this is different. I'm talking about dating. And for me, something that I realized is who he showed me he was after date one, even though our connection was insane. We had the best date. It was so fun. Everything was so good. In our texting, I have screenshots because in Hawaii, someone gave me a rose, right? And that rose triggered a memory from the rose after my mushroom ceremony 2 years ago. And so I went back to find the picture of the rose. And in looking for the rose pictures, I found a bunch of screenshots of me and this guy and our conversations. And in them, I'm like calling out the fact that indecisive, uses words like think, maybe, no clarity. I want a man with clarity. So now I know when they show you those signs, because this is the exact stuff that we are still dealing with today, 2 years later. That's who he is. Maybe not with everyone, maybe just with me, but I doubt it. Like, he's in a phase of his life where he isn't 100% clear. He doesn't 100% know who he is. He doesn't 100% know what he wants. And he isn't 100% clear. So of course it's going to be reflected back to me. And then I'm thinking like, oh, maybe it will change. No, not unless that changes within him. And there is nothing I can do to make that happen. And so looking at it, I was like, oh man, like now I know for next time, like when I feel those signs of indecision, not being decisive, not being clear, not having clarity, not knowing where they're going, not knowing what they want, I know it's a clear sign like this is not for me because I'm 100% clear on what I want. Having said that, back then I wasn't. I was fresh and newly open to dating. He was like my first date. No, maybe I went on one other date. Yeah, one other date with a different guy before him. But I was in this phase of figuring out like, what is it that I really want? What is it that's really important to me? I had an idea, but I wasn't 100% clear. I was also in a position in my life where I was sitting in the in-between of what I was going to do next. So of course I was met with a match that wasn't 100% clear. Since then though, I have gained a ton of clarity. I have charged forward. I have, kept moving forward in my life. And like, he's still been in that other place. And so again, it's like Walmart and Chanel bag, like it's not going to match. And it's not that he's a bad person or anything's wrong. It's just like ultimately the capacity isn't there. And as much as I care about him and all of that, it's like you can't build a relationship with someone that doesn't have capacity. And my life requires quite a bit of capacity. Like someone who is established in their life to be able to just travel, to help take care of, not even really take care of 2 kids. This is something that I feel sometimes is interesting because I'm like, they have a dad, so they don't need a new dad. But of course I have children. So it's like, you need capacity to be with kids, to travel, to come to stuff, to be around. Like, I require depth. I want to have deep conversations. Like the elephant that showed up. This is so cute that the elephant is right here. You guys, wild. I have to tell you the elephant story and then we'll probably be done this episode. But it's so fun. Honestly, I hope you guys feel this, like getting to just like chat my thoughts out to you guys is the best, truly. Like I love it so much. And this is where, again, if you feel like people could connect with anything I'm saying, I know I talk about it in a way that's very like chat with your girlfriends. Sometimes I can go full of authoritarian mode and like act like a teacher. And other times I'm like, no, the most useful thing is in process to talk through it because you're going to have realizations yourself. So I share my full life open here for you guys to be able to have that and apply it to your own lives. So again, if this is helpful, share it with someone because I really feel this drive and desire to grow my podcast this year and have this as my main form of how I connect and communicate with people. I'm feeling this interesting pull about social media where I'm like, I don't connect with surface and I try to make my social deep, but ultimately photos are surface. You can't see the full picture. And so I like this, like, this is what I love to do is like be here fully connecting, communicating, and like pouring it out here. So you guys sharing my podcast and helping it reach more people is so helpful because I would like to merge and like create this as my main thing. Anyway, okay, I'm going to tell you the elephant story. So meanwhile, I don't know if I've told you guys his name on these podcasts before. Have I? Message it on the comments if I have. Not his real name, but like what I call him. Anyway, that is done, complete. Feel so good and releasing with love. I think that's the most important thing is like, my friends were kind of like, you should be immature, like to call him. I'm like, no, I'm going to release this with love because that's how I feel. Like there's so much about him that's so great. And like the same way I wanted to do this with his face the first time I met him, I still feel it today. Honestly, like I don't feel any animosity, like how you did me. That was dirty. That was messed up. That was wrong. You haven't even apologized. Like that's crazy. But at the same time, I'm like, if the soul contract is done, what else is there to say? Like release you with love and wish you nothing but the best. And same for me. So anyways, it was interesting. When he canceled, it was 1:11. Angels were like, we got you, girl. You knew that this wasn't right for your soul. We both felt it. I think we both felt it. And that's where I'm like, I can't put all the blame on him. I asked for that. Anyway, whatever. So what I want to tell you is my Hawaii trip. Okay. And then we're going to be done. I'm sorry. I like to talk for a long time. Hopefully you guys enjoy being here too. Yeah. I feel like we go through a lot of updates altogether. Anyways, on the topic, this matters. This is my last thing I'm going to talk to you guys about, but it matters. The elephant and why this relates to trusting and tuning in to your body and trusting and listening to what it is trying to tell you. Okay. So on the rose topic, 2 years ago, I went to a mushroom ceremony where in that mushroom ceremony, I saw and felt, again, this is not logic. It would sound insane if you're not tuned into like spiritual soul level connection and yourself. I felt my future husband. And for a time I was like, wait, was that really my future husband? Or was that my own divine masculine protecting me? Either way, what I feel now is like, this is a being, this is a person. And maybe in soul, divine union, divine love, your inner divine masculine needs to become a match for the true reflection of the divine masculine outside of you, just like your inner feminine needs to become a match for the feminine within them. I don't know. This is just a new theory I'm stumbling upon, but it makes sense that if you had to, because as a whole being, you have masculine and feminine qualities. And what if you need to really find your true match? It's like becoming that, divine masculine and divine feminine within yourself, so that the divine masculine outside of you or the divine feminine outside of you is an energetic match for that piece of you that's within. I don't know, just a thought. Because ultimately, like, we're here to save ourselves. You can't be like looking for a savior. And I think for a season, I was like, I don't want to go through that. It's like, someone save me. But it's like, no, we're here for our own life and curriculum. We've got to do this shit on our own. It makes you tough. It's great. Whatever. This is also really funny because beside the elephant is a shell. You guys, when you start paying attention to the signs that are in your life, you will understand there is nothing that's coincidence. It is all divinely orchestrated. It is all perfect. This matters because on the beach, we were given a flower. She said, if you're going to the beach to lay there for a bit, bring these flowers. The girl I was with, Dira, and her sister-in-law, said, bring these flowers. Okay, great. We get these roses. We go to the beach. I'm smelling the flowers and I go, crazy. I literally wrote on my vision board, I want soft textures. Have you ever touched a rose petal? They are so soft. And so I'm touching them and I'm like, like parts of my vision board is coming to real life just by me connecting with this rose. The scent, the texture, how soft it is, beautiful. And as I'm smelling it, I go, 2 years ago, I had a rose just like this on a mushroom ceremony and I couldn't get enough of it. I was smelling it like crazy. Like I just loved this rose. And I was like, that's the day I connected with my future husband. And 2 nights before, we had done a little microdose and sat on the beach. And I saw an elephant in the sky. Like I literally in the stars, I was like, that's an elephant. And she was like, oh, what? It was for me. I could see an elephant outline in the stars. Then later that night, she goes, she asked me 3 questions and it describes like your future partner and yourself and all this stuff. She asked me like, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite animal? And what's your favorite body of water? And for the animal, I go elephant. But I don't know. I was like, I don't know if I should say that though, because it's just kind of in my awareness. She was like, no, it's there for a reason. Just say it. Trust your intuition and trust your first gut reaction. So I say elephant. And she goes, tell me 3 reasons why. And essentially my reasons, I can't repeat exactly what I said because I don't remember, but it was like, it's just grounded. It's just there. Like you feel its presence. And even though it's so strong, it doesn't have to show that it is. You just know it is based on like how it is, how it shows up. And I'm like, and it's so grounded and feels connected to the earth and the way that it like protects its loved ones and its babies and like all these things that I was saying about it. Provides that it's just so beautiful and whatever. And so just who it is. Like an elephant walks in and it's like, that's an elephant. And everyone around knows to respect it, create space without it needing to say a word, show aggression, nothing. It just exists. And she goes to tell me, she was like, that elephant is your future partner. That's who you just described. And I was like, whoa, that is so, like that has so many qualities of the person that I've written down before, like what I feel he's going to feel like. And honestly, like kind of connected to myself. And so anyways, now we get the roses. It sends me back into memory lane of when I connected to my future husband way back then. and his presence and how he felt like so strong and just like a presence, but like a gentle force. Like, he's strong, but he doesn't need to show it. And is that the word stoic? I don't know, something like that. But I felt him behind me. And I will never forget that feeling and me saying to him, like, look, I know you're here with me here. And he's like, I've been with you the whole time. And I was like, no, I know you're here with me, like here in soul land, but like, I want you in the physical, come find me. And he had said to me, he's like, okay, I will. And I remember, like from the rose, it made me think of this and remember, like, there's nothing else I need to do. Like, I'm on my path right now by just being me, just getting fine-tuned into tuning into myself, trusting everything I felt then I already knew. I knew then when I chose to sleep with this guy that the 2-year situationship has finally ended. Like, I remember my husband saying, no, you're mine. Like, you don't do this. And then I was like, but I kind of want to. And he was like, fine, do whatever you want. Go. He was like, go, because you're going to be mine regardless. And it's so funny because it made me think, like, I knew the answer all along. It was just timing for this to come to an end. And so I felt it where I was like, this connection the soul contract needs to be done in order for anyone else to come into my life. And then all these signs of the elephants. And then as I'm talking to you guys, and I'm going to tell you about this, the freaking elephant is sitting here like this beside the shell because I was on the Hawaiian beach when they connected. That is so special. You guys, it's going to be so fun when I meet my Ellie. We were calling him Ellie the whole weekend. We're like, Ellie. But it's going to be great. And I know it's coming. And so I guess my whole point in this is my dynamic that I'm in right now and really moving through is like relationships, right? I feel like I've moved through stuff with health. Oh shit. There was one last thought I need to share with you. And then I promise I'm done. Okay. So like I always talk about this, 3 energies of human mastery: business, money, relationships, and health. And the reason that this is so important is because in this connection that I was in, it always negatively impacted me. It took me out of my power. And I felt it. Like, I wasn't as focused. I wasn't as on with my business. Health was fine. I still took care of my health, like in terms of working out and stuff like that. But it impacted my business and it occupied energy and space. And I could feel he was a taker, like an energy siphoner. And I started to notice, dang, even though I like talking to you, I never feel replenished by you. I can just feel you constantly taking my space and my energy. So again, bringing awareness to this. I bring this up because I have a finger fungus, you guys. It's just like, it's not really gross. It's just like dry skin on my finger, but I know that's technically what a fungus is. It kind of like peels away your skin. Anyway, do you want to know why I have this? It's about lingering too long. It's your feminine. I'll read it to you. My friend was like, ChatGPT this. And I was like, I knew. But this is my point in this, okay? Is that in your body, things will start to happen when something is not right for you externally. So when you have something happening in your body, like a fungus, a thumb pain, I'm having funny things. I don't get health ailments, okay? Thumb pain, finger fungus. I freaking dropped a barbell on my foot and snapped my bone, which like, what the hell? But not to blame again, but it's like, it's trying to wake you up. Every time that you start to have health stuff, it is trying to wake you up that something is out of alignment. So it's going to show up in your physical body because you're not dealing with it. So it's going to give you a physical ailment to bring awareness. And if you're tuned into your body, you'll understand what that is. So most people would go, oh my God, I have this thing on my finger. Completely. It is 100% related. I can promise you that. When I had physical pain in my body, when I was still in my marriage and I would sleep in this bed like this, because I was not acknowledging what I was really going through, it was a physical ailment. Like when I dealt with the guy after that I should have gotten rid of and out of my life, but I was still allowing his energy to impact me, I had other ailments show up. So no matter what, if you're having physical ailments show up, there's something in your life that's out of alignment and it's trying to bring awareness to it and it's trying to wake you up. Okay. So this finger fungus, let me just read this to you. And I think this is important because when we talk about energies of human mastery and the right people being in your life, they will literally create dis-ease and disharmony within your being. And it will feel internal at first. It'll feel emotional. But eventually it'll translate into physical ailments. So if you're dealing with physical ailments right now, what in your life is not a match? What are you hanging on to that you need to let go of? What are you still allowing that you know you no longer should be allowing? People, places, where you live, things, a job, whatever the thing is, there's something, a conversation you need to have that you haven't had. There is something that is being left unsaid and it's creating an issue within your physical body. Okay, so the left finger, the left finger fungus, lingering too long, unexpressed or unaddressed, living in the margins rather than in the open, and it's connected to boundaries and self-worth. So nails, skin, and extremities, boundaries and self-worth. Did I have a boundary? I hate that word. Probably hate it because I'm not good at it. I don't know. It was fungus, meaning something that feeds on what I no longer need, but haven't consciously released yet. The left side is always connected to feminine, receptive emotions, intuition, the past. So anything that's happening on your left side of the body, it's connected to your feminine. Anything on the right is connected to your masculine. And typically, like anything on the left is to do with stuff internal, and anything on the right is to do with stuff external and action. Okay. So basically, fingers are how you interact with the world, and it could be like touch, connection, control, precision, how you handle situations or people. And it's often tied to holding on to something or how something's been in your hands emotionally. When he went through the situation, sharing about this circumstance he was in, he put it on me to help him figure out. So I'm taking it on. It's not even mine. And I remember saying, like, this is a burden that's not mine. Like, this is your own issue that's for you to figure out. Like, and now you're putting it on me like it's my issue to solve. It's not. And so basically it represents an old emotional attachment, a pattern of overgiving and being too available. I did that. A subtle resentment or unspoken feeling you've carried quietly, something from the past that no longer aligns, but you haven't consciously let go. And it's all about reclaiming your boundaries and deciding what you're going to allow access to your energy, your time, or your care. Left finger fungus. You could look at that and not pay attention, or you could realize that that is 100% aligned with exactly the situation that I just described to you guys that I was moving through. And these are just questions that you could obviously ask yourself is, where have I been tolerating something instead of addressing it? What am I ready to stop feeding off my energy? Because that's what it was, feeding off of my energy. What does my intuition already know, but I haven't acted on? How do you make this up? You guys, like, so crazy. So no pressure, of course, but the body often starts the conversation before the mind catches up. So when you have something showing up on your body, there is a reason for it. It's bringing awareness to something that your mind is not yet thinking about, but it's calling your attention to. And then it was all about releasing and whatever. So like the right thumb, and then I have like pain in my left hip all of a sudden. I'm like, what the frick is going on? But I'm out of alignment. I was out of alignment in that circumstance situation, and I wasn't saying what I needed to say when I felt it. It's been said now, but I didn't do it immediately. Okay, but my right thumb, there was something with that too. I'm not going to go through it. Anyways, the point is your body is connected to what's going on spiritually, emotionally. It's all connected. So with that, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for listening to me yap. And I hope you got something out of this. And if you're experiencing anything with your physical body, so important to pay attention to that and also start to trust yourself. Like what you're feeling is true, what you're feeling is correct, what you're feeling is right. Lean into that and trust that whatever's showing up for you, there's a reason for it. When you get that feeling, trust it. It's truth. And when something's a yes, it will feel like a yes. It will feel like truth, but you can feel it. You can hear it in, people's energy. So don't fall for the facade of words. Really tune into feeling. That's what I'm going to leave you guys with. So thanks for being here. I will see you in the next episode. Thanks for listening, and share this if this was helpful with somebody else that you feel could really benefit. And if you're dealing with a physical ailment, go deep into it. Start to figure out, where is that coming from? What does it represent? How does it represent in your external world of how you're living that you could help shift to get rid of it on your body? Because your body is a tool. It's a living organism, always there to communicate and connect with you, and it is there for you. So thanks guys so much. Love you. See you in the next episode.